tension in the room, so why don't we try and relax a little bit with a breathing exercise. We haven't done this before, so this is something new that we're going to try, if that's okay with all of you. So we're going to take our hands together and put them on our bellies. And on my go, you're going to inhale. When you inhale, you're going to make your stomach not explode, expand like a balloon. And then you're going to exhale and it'll go down, and we're going to do that 5 times. Okay, so let's begin. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay. How are we doing? Maybe a little better. Okay, good. Okay, well, this is our 4th session, so we're coming in. We've all met each other already. We've established some of our group rules. So we might be a little bit more comfortable than we were in the 1st session. But I'd like to remind you again of the purpose of our group is. So this is a substance abuse therapy group. Each of you are coming in here because you're in recovery right now and you're needing that extra therapeutic support to help you through your recovery. And in this group, you ladies will share experiences with each other because you're each experiencing the same thing. And not exactly the same thing. Each of your situations is different, but you are in the commonality of substance abuse. And then you can learn from each other about what helps you, and throughout our sessions together, we've learned to identify triggers. We're going to work on negative thoughts, how addiction happens, how to set appropriate goals for sobriety. Alright, so I also want to remind you of our group rules that we established in the 1st session, and that's that we're trying not to use our cell phones. If you get a phone call, please step out of the room so we don't distract the other group members. And remember that everything here is confidential. This is a closed group, so I don't go back and talk to you guys about with anyone. And you can tell people what you said in the group, but remember not to say anyone's names or identities, because we are confidential here. And then lastly, I wanted to remind you that my role is to facilitate the discussion and provide therapeutic support. Okay? So why don't we continue and talk about comfort levels? And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to write things down as we go in our session. And one last thing, I do want to remind you that at times I might have to interrupt you, and that's only because we might be getting off topic or off focus, and I want to keep the group on task. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Alright, so Kristen, can we start with you and come around, and you can tell me what your comfort level is today. So 10, you are the most comfortable today, and 1, you are the least comfortable.
I'd say probably a 6.
A 6, okay.
I think probably about a 5 today.
A 5, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with a 4.
4, okay.
5.
5, alright, so we have 2 people who are at a 5 right in the middle. And you're feeling about a 6, a little bit more comfortable than the rest of your group members, and the least comfortable today. Okay, so I'll be checking those comfort levels again at the end of the group and see if they've changed at all, okay? Alright, so today's group focus is going to be on assessing your environment. So each of you have different environments that you live in, and today we're just going to be talking about those environments and how they support or they hinder sobriety and recovery. So let's get into that. So the first question, or the first thing I want us to work on, do you guys have the papers and pens I handed out earlier?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so each of you can list 3 ways that your current living environment hinders your recovery efforts. So how does your current living environment negatively affect your recovery efforts?
okay,
two?
do a couple?
Yeah,
All right.
that's fine, yeah. Okay, well, I know that sometimes it can be difficult to share within the group, and our comfort levels are a little low today, so why don't we pair up and we share with each other and then come back to the group so it's not as uncomfortable, okay? So take a couple minutes and talk about that.
Sure. So what are you looking at on here?
All the friends I have,
My environment.
I mean, that's like our thing, basically.
Maybe kind of a little bit of a bad influence. And
It's easy to hide things.
And then also like we have the stuff
For a long
we
time.
have all this in the house.
And
They're like it's hard because
got some good ones.
my own environment I put myself with because I like it. So that was my third one. I enjoy it.
I couldn't even think of the third one, but that one. Mine is that the payments are available and accessible in my house. Another one is that family members take them frequently, and so they have them, and they don't think anything about people that,
And you know, like every now and
you know,
then,
because when I'm hurting, it's just so easy to think about just
So what are
taking one, but then I need another one, because that one doesn't help, so I guess maybe that would be the third one, just not yet. Because when the pain starts, then I need to figure out how to take care of it. Help me find my purpose. And probably because I like, it makes me forget about how things hurt, so, yeah.
And they don't smoke at home anymore,
Yeah.
but I can still tell that they come home.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty
I think
nice.
they talk more than we do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm not really like respectful of
That's-
me.
yeah,
And
come on.
I can tell, like,
We need to
the
get
eyes
some-
are red, like I can
Yeah.
just tell.
Kinda, yeah, well,
They just like,
need to figure out how we're gonna do
wanna do
this
that,
and
they
get
just
it
don't
done. I like to,
so.
I'm kind of one of those people.
Are you ladies wrapping up ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. All right, so let's debrief about, what we wrote down. Let's really discuss that and unpack it. Who would like to begin?
Well, I'll start.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so we were talking about like friends,
Mm-hmm.
because all my friends still do that, and so,
Okay.
like, you want to hang with your friends, and like, who else am I supposed to hang out with?
Yeah.
All the other friends?
Yeah.
I mean, like, all of them pretty much do that. So there's that, and then I know where to hide things.
Mm-hmm.
And I still, since I still live in the same place, like, I know where to hide things if I really need to, you know what I mean? So there's that, and then knowing who to call too, because, like, if I get the itching for it, and, like, it's so easy, because,
Mhm.
I don't want to delete their phone number in case they call me. Like, I gotta know who's calling, so it's not really that hard to, like, call if I really need to,
Mhm.
so.
So you still have easy access. And
Yeah.
with friends and knowing who to call and knowing where to hide if you wanted to start using it. So tell me, Amy, right now, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 wanting to use the least and 10 wanting to use the most, how much do you want to use right now?
Like a 7?
Like a 7? Okay. Okay. That's okay. It's part of what recovery is. It doesn't happen in a day to not want to use. It's something that as I've done these groups for a long time, I've learned that it can stay with people for a long time and years, and it's something that you struggle with. And I'm not saying that's something that you might struggle with for forever, because some people do come to the point where they don't want to do drugs anymore, and they know not to put themselves in a party or in a situation where they'll have the opportunity, because they know they will if it's in front of them. So that's just kind of a walk, and you being able to admit where you are in that place is really amazing. So thank you for sharing. Jenny, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So my neighbors still smoke weed, so I can smell it like all the time, and just the smell of it just reminds me of it. And for so long everything smelled like it, and now it's, I don't know, just when that wind blows it in my direction, like it's, you just want it. I still have lighters like everywhere, and yeah, you can use them for like candles and stuff, but like, why do I need 30 lighters for the 2 candles in my house, you know? So, but like also I don't want to get rid of them because that's an essential part of life. Like, what if I need to go camping and like, what if the power goes out? Like it almost did yesterday.
You
So I had all my.
don't need 30 lighters though.
But like,
Sorry.
I use a lot of candles eventually, and so just to keep them around, like I don't like wasting money, so to just throw them away sounds horrible to me. And then also my roommate is not in recovery, and however she doesn't smoke around me anymore, which is really nice. She doesn't smoke at home, but like I can still tell when she comes home high. So that like seeing her, and I'm really grateful that she doesn't do it at home, and I think that's really cool of her, but it's still like super hard. Like I can totally tell when she comes home high and she's just giggly all the time and like doesn't know what we're talking about. And it's kind of like I realized what I was like, so it's weird, but it's like kind of annoying. Like I know you're high, dude. Like stop trying to act like you're not high.
So you mentioned your roommate, and
Yeah.
then you've mentioned friends that you still have and do drugs. So that's something that you guys have in common there. People close to you that you spend time with, they're still using.
Yeah. And
How
that's
does
hard.
each of you deal with that? How do you handle that?
I mean, I'm really like, I'm like confrontational, but not like a really mean way, but like I said, I'm like, dude, I know you're high right now, like don't lie about it to me, like I can tell. So, I mean, I love her, and I'm like, we've been roommates for years, but the hard part is that like we used to smoke together, now we don't, and so that's like a bond that's broken. Like I still love her and would do anything for her. So, I don't know, it's hard, but
Yeah,
I guess she has to make that decision when she wants to.
it's definitely difficult. Do you guys find that you're struggling with that? Can you relate to that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Did you want to say anything, Amy?
I probably don't do such a good job. I just,
What's that mean?
cause it's like all, I mean, it's all my friends, so it's not just like, you know, my one roommate,
Okay.
Yeah.
and I don't know, like mine aren't that accepting of it because, you know, that's like, what else are you supposed to do with your time kind of deal, cause, I mean, if they're doing meth and like, why can't I, you know what I mean? And if I want to hang out with them, it's just kind of inevitable. Like, not that they pressure me to do it, it's just like, it's appealing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't do that good of a job of it, but like, if I'm not gonna do it and like, I'm strong at that point, I just kind of stay to myself or like, go to the movies by myself, but like, I still find myself wanting to like, you know,
But I did
go
want
do
to
that.
pick out one thing that you said is that they weren't pressuring you to do it. So although they don't understand your choice of not to use, it is positive that they're not pressuring you. So that's one positive aspect that we can identify. I didn't know if you knew.
Yeah.
But okay, thank you for sharing again. Let's start over here. Would one of you like to share first?
I can go. Well, the problem is that pain meds are available, they're accessible in my house, you know, because that was number one. Number two, I have family that take them frequently, and it's like, kind of like these guys, you know, it's just part of their daily life. And then I think the third thing is when my back kicks in and it hurts so bad, I'm just like, but if I just take one of these, it helps it, and then I just need another one to help it. But so then I deal with the pain. Then why are you here if I would use it?
I'm sorry.
She said that I should try weed.
I did hear it a little bit, and I want to ask if next time, wait till she's done and then bring it up to the group, because we're talking about drugs in this group, so it's okay to bring it up. That's okay with you.
I guess there is the medicine.
Medicinal.
Yeah.
The medicine.
Of course, that's not what I was doing. That's why I'm here to answer your question.
But yeah, and
Sorry,
so
I'm
I'm having to learn how to do different things. They have recommended that I go to physical therapy, but that's a lot of work.
It is. Yeah.
And, but the doctor, my pain management doctor that I
Mhm.
used to go to, stated that she thought it would be a really good help for me, and she would go ahead and get me started at that if I would agree to go. So that would be something that,
Yeah.
but it's just a lot of work.
Isn't this group also a lot of work?
Yeah, it is.
I think you can do it. I don't know, does anyone else have any supporting words to offer? I think, you're coming here, you've never missed a day, for 4 sessions in. I believe you're strong enough to do that if you want to.
And I mean, if you're spending that much money like on that, because medicine's expensive. So if you're spending that, I mean, you might as well like do the PT.
Yeah.
Either that or what you were saying.
Well,
I mean, like honestly.
And I actually might lose some weight in doing it too, so I might get an extra
That
benefit.
sounds like working
lot
too
of-
hard. Looking for another benefit.
I know yours does the opposite probably, doesn't it? Don't even lie.
Thank you for sharing, I appreciate that. Kristen, you've been a little bit quiet today, is everything okay?
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing now? Is that okay?
Well, I shared with Vanda, I'm okay right now.
Okay, and could Vanda maybe share a little bit of what you guys talked about, or is that still something you're not comfortable with?
I mean, I don't know if it'd be really like that beneficial for her to share it, so probably not right now.
Okay, that's okay, we'll wait. If there's something else you want to share about later in the group, okay?
Okay.
Alright, so, man, we were talking about a lot of different things here, about our environments, and, that's a lot. Let's try and summarize, or paraphrase just a little bit of that. So, we had identified one major theme, and that was that you guys have access, 2 major themes. You guys have you ladies have the access to drugs, and a lot of people who are still close to you that do it all the time. So these are common themes in recovery. So I wanted to remind you that you're not alone. There's other people who experience this, and it is very difficult. And each of you will figure out how to overcome this in your own way. Yeah. So I want to bring up, since we're talking about the negative things that hinder our environment, I'd also like to talk about something positive, and that is, what does sobriety look like to you? So, if you were sober and you didn't have the desire to do drugs at all, think about that, how would your life be different?
Are we supposed to write it down, or can we just share it?
It's up to you. You can write it down, you can share it.
Well, for me, it would be being happy and calm without having to have a substance to make me that way.
Okay.
So, yeah, because that's what weed did for me. Plus, I would save so much money, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
So, like, already since I've been sober, I've saved like $60 a week, which, may not be much in comparison to pills, but it does really help. So, yeah, just being happy and calm without having to use something to make me that way.
Yeah, that would be nice. Sometimes drugs have the ability to alter moods, and that's sometimes one of the reasons that people will do drugs. And thank you for admitting that. I know that's not so easy, so thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
One thing is that I think that I would just be able to think clearly. I would be able to focus and see things instead of things kind of blur, days blur and things that I do, but I think just to be able to see things clearly would be a really good thing.
Yeah, no, that's definitely good. And talking about seeing things clearly, some of the drugs that can cause fogginess, alcohol is also one of them. I know, Kristen, you mentioned before that alcohol does that to you. Is that something that maybe you would also want?
As to what?
Sorry, I wasn't clear with that. If you didn't have the desire to do drugs, is that something that would be changed for you? Is it you would be less foggy sometimes?
Yeah, I'd say
stay set up, and a little bit like what Shanae said is like not having to have something to like make me have a good time or help me to relax,
Okay.
just to be able to do that on my own and and to have be clear minded.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to share on that? Amy, did you want to say anything?
It's been a while, so I don't really know, like, I just don't know what that would look like, because again, it just, I mean, that's what you do all the time, and like, it's an easy way to make money too, so, I mean, it's your job, so basically you lose your job, your friends, what you spend your time on.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you really see what it looks like, I guess, sober?
Like, see the positives?
Well, yeah, kind of, you know what I mean though, like, because you're giving up everything. So, I mean, the only thing I could think of was like, maybe having an actual job, which doesn't really sound super appealing.
You don't make as much money.
I know, right? Like, yeah, you don't.
Yeah, but
You
you
don't,
might
like-
not end up in jail though.
But if you're a
Yeah, but, like, if
bartender,
you're
you make
good-
good money. Like
See,
I
if
do.
you're good enough though at it, like, and knowing who to give it to, you know what I'm saying? So like, we have our hookups already, so it's not really that hard. It's just hard to imagine that,
So
I guess.
when was the last time, or can you think of a time before you used drugs? Like, how long ago was that for you?
Like maybe a decade, like 13.
Yeah. I
mean, that was a long time ago. A lot's changed too. Like, I didn't have to have a job back then, so.
we can see how it can be difficult to remember how it would be different, especially at such a young age when people are still taking care of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they don't do that anymore. So. I don't know. It's just hard to throw it out completely. It's like throwing away your life. Like, just, you got nothing at that point.
So are you saying that drugs are still a significant part of your life right now?
Am I gonna get in trouble?
No, not
Okay.
Oh, well, disclaimer, I am a mandated reporter, so if you are talking about hurting yourself or hurting others, that's something I'll have to report.
No, I'm not gonna take anybody out. I'd say we're like 75% involved, 25% not. Like,
Yeah.
depends on where you're gonna go with that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's all. You don't have to say anything anymore if you're not comfortable. But I do thank you for sharing. So Amy brought up kind of a point that that we'll get to, and we're getting there a little sooner than I anticipated in our group, and that is that doing drugs is a choice, and we learned that in 4th grade. It's
Dare.
Dare, yeah. So if that's something that you guys remember, and also.
Never took that. Sorry,
No, that's
school didn't have
okay.
that actually, so.
That's okay, so then that's something new. So DARE is a program that a lot of schools did to combat drugs, right? And so some of you are familiar with it. And when I have learned running these groups that choosing to be sober after you've done drugs is a different choice. So it's different than choosing saying I'm not going to do drugs, because you've already experienced the drugs, you've experienced the highs, you've experienced the good parts, the bad parts. And so choosing to stay sober is a choice you have to make for yourself. And sometimes people will say, I want to make it for my daughter, because I want to see her go to college. Is that something you can relate to? Or maybe because my husband, he'll leave me, so I'm going to do it for him. But there won't be a change until you make it just for me. I'm going to do this because I want to do it for me. And some people might be there and some people might not be. And that's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you want to each just reflect and just think about where I am on that scale, if I'm doing this for me or if I'm not ready to quit drugs. And we can talk a little bit more about that next week unless you have something you want to immediately say right now. But that is something that I wanted to talk about.
I mean, I think it's a choice for me. Otherwise I wouldn't have done it, because honestly, honestly, I don't think weed is that bad of a drug.
Yeah.
But I know it has like affected my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just done with letting something that grows outside affect my life. Like
Yeah.
pollen's one thing. I can have allergies, you know, one time a year,
Mhm.
but letting something like that affect my life is stupid. Like I feel like I should have more control over myself, but it is a much harder choice than the trying.
Yeah.
You know, trying it and doing it consistently.
Mhm.
Stopping it is a much harder choice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I never thought about it that way, that it's a different choice, but that's a good way to describe it.
Sometimes it's the harder choice.
Yeah, it's definitely harder.
And I kind of think we almost have to make it every day for right now. I mean, because you can make the choice, but then a really rough day comes along, or and so you have to decide again. Am I really gonna stay sober, or am I
That's
gonna
true.
not?
Especially in the beginning stages of recovery. It may be for you when you feel a lot of pain. Is it worth it to stay sober right now?
Yeah.
You know, can I get past this day?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we'll dig into this a little bit more in the next session, unless there's something we can keep going today. Maybe I see thoughts mulling in your head, and I didn't know if you wanted to talk or wait until next week. But so if we want to spend that next session talking about this a lot, we can. If not, I wanted to talk a little bit about what you said, and it's kind of how to cope and get past the how to prevent relapse. So we'll be talking about relapse prevention next week, unless there's something that is really on your mind. So we'll keep that open. But we're coming towards the end of our session, and I really just want to highlight some of the things that we've talked about, and feel free to jump in, you know, if there's something else you want to say. So, you know, we started off the session with our breathing exercises to try to calm ourselves down a little bit, and we went through and talked about some of the negative impacts in our life that are hindering our recovery. And a lot of you brought up some great points, and that is that in our environment we have people, and people are a big part of our environment. They're the people that we do the drugs with, and they're the people that are our support system, yet also the people who don't support us in this. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have access to drugs, because it's easy to get drugs, and it's easy for people who have done drugs. That's not something that we're going to try and lie about, right? We want to be honest in this group. And then we've talked about, what the last thing that we talked about is the choice, right? This choice that everyone makes for themselves. And so those are some of the